lovely introduction, and yes, I'm also absolutely delighted to be here this morning representing the EUY. The EUY has been such a huge part of my yoga journey, even without realizing at the time. Even my very first yoga teacher was an EUY teacher, and I didn't know that at the time until I started inquiring about learning and training to be a teacher. I want to acknowledge all the fantastic teachers who have been part of my yoga journey, who are continuing to be part of my yoga journey, including my students, and so lovely to see some of you here today as well. And I really, your introduction, Gabby, actually fits in so nicely with what I had planned and what I intend to do today, because for me, the experience of connecting with yoga is embodied. It's what we do. It's connecting with that energy, that prana within us. And so this morning's session will be a practical experience and embodiment of that. And through my practice, I really feel that I'm connecting with that same energy from those yogis 5,000 years ago. You know, science tells us that energy, it never stops, it never ends, it just changes from one form to another. And I think particularly in today's modern world, where many of us are not as in constant connection with the natural world, to have our practice to bring us back into that connection and to connect with the prana within us, that's really important and a very special thing to be able to do. So that's about as much of an explanation that I'll say about what inspired me to connect with this morning's with the practice we will do this morning. It will be including some asana, some pranayama. We'll end with relaxation, and Karen has asked that I leave a little bit of time for questions. So if you have any questions, we'll take those at the end. Unless you have any particular concerns throughout, please feel free to let me know to ask. You won't need any particular props, just something to sit on. That's all that you'll need. So I am going to switch my camera to the other camera, which gives a better view of my mat. Right, so we will start seated. I'm taking a block to sit on. You can have whatever supports you find suitable and comfortable to sit. We're going to sit in Siddhasana to start. So please take your seat, and you can hold behind your left knee to help externally rotate that thigh, keeping your foot in line with the knee as you bring your heel in line with the center line of your body, holding behind your right knee, then to again externally rotate and keeping both heels in line with each other. Now, if you are not comfortable to sit in Siddhasana, please choose another seated position. It's more important to be in a comfortable and upright position than to have your legs in a particular shape. So feeling that settling of your feet and legs towards the earth beneath you, feeling the sit bones grounding down, checking that the weight is even in both sit bones. So if you feel that the weight is uneven, please drawing the flesh away from the sit bone so you can allow root down. Allowing that check for your alignment, that your shoulders are above your hips, ears in line with your shoulders. You have a nice long spine. Now, if you connect in with the physical body in this way and really allowing the body to come to this position, to find this comfortable seat. We're going to take a mudra with our hands. It's pran mudra, so bringing the tip of your thumb to the tip of your ring finger and little finger on both hands, and your index finger and middle fingers are straight. I'll say that again for anybody who's not familiar with this mudra. So tip of your thumb to the tips of the ring finger and little finger, and then your index finger and middle finger are straight. So it looks like that. And having the palms up in this position. Now, if you're comfortable to allow your eyes to close, then allowing your eyes to close. And settling your awareness on your breath. We notice your natural inhalation and exhalation. The Pran Mudra can help us to ignite or enliven stagnant energy within the body. It can be practiced at other times, not immediately after eating, but it has a practical application. As you settle on your breath, staying with your inhalation and your exhalation, you can apply a silent mantra with the breath. So as you inhale, hum as you exhale. You're not changing your breath in any way to meet or match a mantra, simply allowing that to find its way to connect with your breath. You find your attention goes elsewhere, guiding it back to your breath. So releasing the mantra. Releasing mudra, allowing the fingers to soften, palms can stay facing up, still maintaining the alignment of your posture. And connecting with any sensations in your body, the energy that you feel in your body. You can gently release your legs, unfolding the legs from this seated position, and please come over onto your mat. We're going to come to Adho Mukha Virasana. So coming to sit towards the back of your mat, sitting back towards your heels, keeping the sit bones moving back towards your heels, walking your hands forward. Finding that length through the spine, lengthening through the crown of your head, and then placing the hands onto your mat, not losing the space and length through the spine. So don't let your head drop here, keeping that length through the spine. Feeling here, can you connect with your breath? Head staying in line with the upper arms to begin. And then if the head lowers, you can allow it to lower, but don't force it down. You need to have a support for underneath your head. You could place your block underneath your forehead. And here, feeling and connecting once more with your breath, noticing, can you observe how the breath helps to find its way to different parts of the lungs. Can you feel the expansion of the breath here in the back body? Notice the stretch here through the side waist, perhaps the breath increasing the space between the ribs. Enjoying that length through your spine. And then coming onto hands and knees, please placing your knees underneath your hips and the fronts of the wrists in line with the fronts of your shoulders, checking the fronts of the feet, opening towards the floor. We're going to move here, still with the breath, through the cat-cow stretch, to begin to move that energy now through the spine. So beginning first with the movement, so that you find that tilt in the pelvis, tailbone, sit bones facing down, arching your back up and feeling that the movement begins like a wave through the spine, finding that length, your head turns in, and then the movement begins at the base of the spine again. So a lift to tilt through the pelvis, so the sit bone, tailbone reaching up, feeling the back body here can move towards the front body, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. There's length and openness through the front of the neck as you look forwards. And then the movement begins again at the base. So as you alternate between these two positions, please see if you can connect the movement with your own breath, so that it's your exhalation that's finding that arching upwards, that length. Really press through the hands so that you're engaging here. Your inhalation that's helping you fill out through the front body. Do keep the shoulders away from the ears so that you're finding that more openness. Your chest here, and alternating between the two. Noticing how this feels for you today. You connect with your body on your mat, with practices that not new to many of us today, but seeing each time that you come to the practice, allowing your experience to be unclouded by past experience of expectations, but rather meeting yourself here now. You can allow your spine then to return to a neutral position. We're going to come back into Adho Mukha Virasana and then lifting into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So sitting back towards your heels, you'll need to walk your hands a little bit further forward to find your alignment. So allowing that length through the spine. We're going to walk and ease out the legs here in Adho Mukha Svanasana. So really connecting the hands firmly with your mat. So here allowing the arms to engage as you press down through the arms, feeling already before you even begin to lift the hips, that the armpits begin to lift, coming onto your knees, checking feet or hip distance apart, tucking under your toes, and please keep the legs bent here to begin. So you lift your hips, press through the hands to find that length up through both sides of the body, all the way through to the sit bones. Knees are staying bent still as you find that length. And then easing out the legs individually at first, spreading across the base of the right toes as you send your right heel away from the right sit bone, noticing how the muscles in the legs respond, how that feels. You can bend on that side, straightening on the left side, easing the legs out. Alternating between the two, keeping the hands firm and finding that the movement through your legs is engages from the foot, so that you find this space, this length, bending both knees, keeping the hips high, broaden across the base of the toes, we'll straighten both legs together, feeling the inner thighs moving back. Observing how this feels now, how the movement is, the sensations in your body. You can bend your knees back down onto the floor, sitting back towards your heels, and have a look in this direction. I'll just show you where we're going to go from this, and then I'll talk you through. Okay. So we're going to step the foot forward. So I'll talk you through that together. So back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now lifting your right foot from the floor, finding that length all the way through to the foot, and then bending your knee. And with a little momentum, drawing your foot forward between your hands. You can then bring your left knee and shin to the floor. Now if your right foot hasn't come the full way forward so that your front of the ankle is in front of or is in line with the front of the knee, you can walk it further forward from here. Keeping the front of the left foot and shin pressing onto the floor, and then rising up so that your shoulders are above your hips, and bringing your hands onto your rib cage. So here around towards the sides of the rib cage, so not at the very front, but the heels of the hands just cupping towards the sides of the rib cage. Let your shoulders relax, so no need to tense there. And before we begin to direct the breath here, I invite you to find what movement you feel yourself in your rib cage here as you breathe. Noticing where the breath is. We're going to begin to direct the breath more into this thoracic area so that you're feeling that you can expand into ribs, the front, the back as well, that whole area beginning to expand as you inhale. Beginning to move a little away from the touch of your hands, or you feel the area relax as you exhale. Noticing as you continue with the breath here, do you feel that as you expand through the intercostals, notice what happens through your abdomen. I'm not saying to do this directly, but we're happening as we expand here that the abdomen does move in and up. So rather than allowing the breath to, as you inhale, to move down into the abdomen, rather expanding here, there's a little control through the abdomen as it moves in and up to support the expansion through the side ribs. You can release your hands from there. I'll show you the next part. You can have a look. So don't move just yet. We'll do this together. So from this low lunge position, tuck under your left toes and then press through the base of the toes to straighten your left leg. Pressing down through the right heel as well, which will help you engage there through that right leg as well. So you're making both feet really strong. So the feet aren't moving on the mat, but your intention is that you're trying to draw the feet towards each other while still keeping that bend in your right leg. That's going to give you really good stability through the legs here. So it's a lunge position, not like Virabhadrasana, so that left heel is off the floor. Now here, you can, as I will do, bring my arms in line with the ears and come up that way. If you don't feel that you have the control to do that, you can bring your hands above your knee and come to bring the shoulders above the hips in that way. So arms in line with the ears, pressing through the feet, and you lift your shoulders above the hips. Lengthening into the fingertips overhead, legs staying firm, and then on an exhalation, bringing the palms together and lowering your elbows to shoulder height, forearms are towards each other. You're connecting with your own breath. On an inhalation, the arms are spreading out at shoulder level, so these cactus shape arms like that. As you exhale, the forearms moving towards each other. Inhaling, the arms are spreading, and see, can you still find here with this movement the same expansion that we had in the rib cage in the low lunge, where you had that connection with your hands on the rib cage. So it's with your breath. Exhaling, feeling that you're helping to expel the air by the movement of the hands. The inhalation, you fill. Do this once more. And on your next inhalation, you can allow your arms to rise overhead, again, really filling through the lungs with the breath, reaching up, and then continue to maintain that strength and control through the legs. So again, as if you're trying to draw that right heel towards the left foot towards the right. Right heel, again, that stability will help you. Right hip back, leaning forwards, down onto the floor, step back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So press through your hands, lift the shoulders, step your foot back. Lengthening into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Here again, you can bend the knees, lift the hips, feeling the sensations, feeling the energy in your body, that prana. All of that on the left side. So lifting your left foot from the floor, lengthen into that straight leg, then bend the knee and bring your foot forward between your hands. Right knee and shin to the floor. As you press down through the legs, in this low lunge position, you can then come to have the hands on the sides of the rib cage. So shoulders are above your hips, and again connect with your breath. Now the breath may have changed as we've moved through these physical positions. So noticing here, does the breath feel different than the last time that you connected with it in this way? It's part of the exploration, the experience is being open to saying, this is new, this is different. Then you can begin to direct the breath into this thoracic area so that you begin to expand into the touch of your hands. So the heels of the hands around the sides of the body, you can allow the fingers to spread. It gives you a greater physical touch, that kinesthetic connection. Expanding into those intercostals, notice the movement through the abdomen. Not expanding the breath into the abdomen, but rather as you breathe into this area, the abdomen moving in and up to support that breath. You can release your hands from the side ribs and bringing the hands either side of your left foot now, so the hands are underneath the shoulders. We're going to come into a high lunge. Now, if the high lunge position isn't comfortable for you, all the next part can be done with your knee on the floor as well. So tucking under the right toes and send your heel away from the sit bone. So you're engaging through the feet. So pressing through that left heel through the base of the toes. You find that Padabandha action, noticing the movement, the engagement of the muscles up through your legs as you do that. Feeling as if you're drawing your left heel towards the right toes diagonally forward towards your left heel. So the legs become firm. You have the option of bringing the hands above the knee first and coming into the higher position that way, or bringing your arms in line with your ears, press down through the feet as you unfold your shoulders above your hips. On an inhalation, you lengthen upwards into the fingertips, and as you exhale, bringing your elbows to shoulder height, forearms together, palms together. This movement now coordinated with your breath. On your inhalation, arms are spreading out, cactus shape. As you exhale, as if you're pressing the arms together, as if there's a little resistance there. Inhaling. No need to follow my rhythm here, rather connect with the natural rhythm of the breath in your body, so that you connect with your energy, with the prana, at a pace, at a rhythm that is suitable for you. One more here. On your next inhalation, arms rising overhead. As you exhale, feeling you can ground through the feet a little more, keeping those legs really stable. Arms can stay in line with the ears, or you have the option of bringing the hands back down onto the thigh and coming back in that way. So folding forwards here, you draw that left hip back, reaching forward, arms staying in line with the ears, and then hands come to the floor. From there, pressing through your hands, feel already a little lift in the shoulders, the chest makes space as you step your left foot back. Bending the knees, lifting the hips, back into Adho Mukha Svanasana now here. Feeling that the inner thighs behind you, observing the energy in your body, noticing how this feels for you now. As sensations in the body perhaps different, evolving. And then walking your feet slowly forwards towards your hands. Then you can stop with bent knees. Bring the hands above the knees, so onto your thighs, drawing shoulders away from your ears, opening across your chest, and unfolding to an upright position. Pausing there, observing. And then you can turn to face towards your practice Virabhadra. I'd like for you to have a look at the second time that we practice this asana. We're going to add something a little different with the arms. So I'd like for you to pay close attention. I'll show both now, but we'll practice them traditionally first and then with the variation. So please stand in Tadasana, the center of your mat, facing towards the long edge of your mat. We're going to bring fingertips towards each other. And then you can jump or step your feet apart, spreading the arms out at the same time. Now I'm going to mirror you, so I'll be going this way, you're right. So from here, rotating the arms in the shoulders so that the inner arms are facing up and bringing your arms alongside your ears. Lengthening here. Feel that as you grind down through the outer edges of the feet, you can increase the space and length through both sides of the body. So you're turning your left foot well in, right leg and foot are turning out, and your hips are following that right leg. So drawing that right hip back, left hip forward, and then bending your right knee. Feeling this space and length that we created in the previous positions through the side ribs with the breath, finding that here, and then lifting your chin so that you can look at the space between your hands. Really connecting with your breath. Feel that the breath can help you here to ground through the feet as you exhale, finding that stability again of grounding down through the heel, the right heel. Notice how that will help you to find more stability through that bent leg. So grounding down without straightening the knee. It's with intention, with awareness. Finding this space and lift through the abdomen, the chest, all the way through to the fingertips. And then your chin can come level. Press through your feet to straighten your legs, turning the feet to face forward. You can allow the arms to lower for a moment to give those shoulders a little rest. And then on the left side, so you can spread the arms again, rotation so the inner arms are facing up and bringing the arms at shoulder width apart above your head. Turning your right foot well in, your left leg and foot are turning out. I'm observing here now, so I'm not going to practice with you on this side. So as you continue here, finding a bent leg in the left knee, stabilizing through your heel, observing as you look at the space between your hands, finding your breath. Again, grounding through that left heel, sending the outer edge of the right foot down, the legs stable. It's from that stability in your legs that you can find the lift through the upper body. As you look at the space between your hands, noticing, does the breath draw up? Does the energy draw up? You feel that space, that openness through the sideways, through the rib cage, a lift in the chest. Your chin can return level as you press through your foot to straighten the leg, turning to face towards the long edge of your mat. Again, you can release the hands down, soften through your shoulders. So both feet are facing forward, shoulders are releasing now. So this time we're going to practice with the variation through the arms. So draw the shoulders up and back. So you're rolling the shoulders back. So the hands already coming behind. Now, if you have shoulder issues, you may want to practice traditionally or with the hands on the hips here rather than interlocking to see what feels okay for you. As the hands are behind, then drawing the hands down along the back of the pelvis or down towards that space between the heels. So already here now, it's engagement, the muscles in the back to help you open through the chest. We're going to go to the right side here. So turning the left foot well in, right leg and foot are turning out. Shoulders and hips following. Sometimes here you can feel or see how are your shoulders following the same direction as the hips, that they're not shoulders facing slightly forward while the hips are to the side. So really keeping that awareness through the upper body and then bending the right knee, keeping those hands moving back. As we did in the high lunge, feel as if you're drawing that right heel back towards the left foot. That will help draw the right hip back a little bit more and folding forward over your right leg and keeping the back of your neck long. So you're not looking forward here, you're looking down. Shoulders still moving back. The hands can move away from the shoulders and see if they'll lift away from your back. Breathing. Feeling that openness through your chest. Keeping the legs stable. Almost as if somebody's picking you up by the arms behind. The right knee stays bent, but you bring your shoulders above your hips. When the shoulders are above the hips, releasing the hands, spreading the arms out wide, inner arms turn to face up and bring the arms alongside your ears. Really reaching up, observing that you keep that openness through the chest. You look at the space between your hands. Are the sensations in your body different here than the first time we came into Virabhadrasana 1 today? And then chin level, pressing through your foot to straighten the legs. As you turn the feet forward, you can release the arms back down, observing the sensations in your body. So practicing that on the left side, we roll the shoulders back so they come up towards your ears, circling them back and down as you bring the arms away from the shoulders. You're turning your right foot towards the center line, well in, left leg and foot are turning out, stabilizing through those legs as you bend your left knee, pressing down through that left heel. So it's already engaging that leg rather than collapsing the weight into your joints. Keeping the shoulders moving back, chest staying open, folding forward over your left leg. Keeping the neck long. You can see the hands move a little further down away from the shoulders. from your back with the hands staying interlocked. And keeping that stability through your legs, pressing through the feet, keep that left hip moving back as you feel as if somebody's picking you up by the hands. It's helping to create lightness through the upper body as you bring your shoulders above your hips. When your shoulders are above your hips, you can release the arms out wide and bring them overhead, so that you find that space, that openness through both sides of the body, reaching up. Lengthen upwards. Look at the space between your hands. Breathe. You keep that openness that you created through your chest, that lift physically and energetically. You can lower your chin to a level position, pressing through your left foot to straighten your leg as you turn to face towards the front. You can bring the arms at shoulder level and jumping or stepping your feet back to the center, back to Tadasana. In Tadasana, allowing the shoulders to release. You're comfortable to allow your eyes to close, then letting them close a little so you breathe into the experience, taking time to allow the sensations to settle into your body once more. You can allow your eyes to open and have a look in this direction, because we're going to come back down onto the mat, but I'll show you the way that we will do that and then what we will practice next, because we're going to practice a variation on Bhujangasana. But to come back to there, so I'll talk you through all of that. So coming to stand at the top of your mat, narrow end of your mat, feet can be hip distance apart. Reaching your arms overhead, look at the space between your hands, finding that reach, that energy that we've created while in these upright positions. And as you bring your hands together, the hands coming down towards your face and then down towards the center of the heart, feel as if you're drawing that energy down deep within you. And then you can bend your knees softly as you bring the hands down to the floor. And as we move back into Adho Mukha Svanasana here, you can either step the feet back or you can walk the feet back, finding your alignment there. Adho Mukha Svanasana, the knees can bend, the hips can lift, feeling that energy now that we created standing, beginning to move back down towards the earth. Bending your knees. So knees come onto the floor. Here, tilt through the pelvis. Going to aim chest between the hands, chin forward, and then slide your body forward, separating your feet. So here for this variation on Bhujangasana, it's a quite an accessible version. The feet are wide, about the width of your mat apart. Hands are wide, wider than your mat, and staying on the fingertips. So here we've connected so far today between breathing space and engaging, using the breath to expand through the chest. There's 3 phases here in this Bhujangasana, and they're all using the breath. So I don't want you pushing up with the hands, but rather, and movement, the energy that the breath helps. So the fronts of the feet stay pressing down, feeling the fronts of the thighs pressing down, finding that triangle at the front of the pelvis and allowing that to remain grounded. So the hips stay on the floor here. As you inhale, feeling that you lengthen through the crown of your head. As you exhale, you can soften and root the pelvis back down to the floor. You might find the spine lowers a little, and that's okay. As you inhale, feeling here that the chest can lift, the front ribs can lift, from pelvis stays down. Notice it's the muscles in the back that are helping to lift and draw the front of the body. Exhaling, rooting through the pelvis. With the breath, feel the lower abdomen here moving in and up. Remembering that expansion we had, as we breathe into that thoracic area, it naturally draws the abdomen in and up, feeling length through the back of the neck. So you're looking forwards here. And on an exhalation, you come all the way back down. Forehead can come to the floor. We'll practice that again. So as you inhale, finding that length through the crown of the head. The exhalation pressing the front of the feet down, the front hips stay down. The inhalation, center of the chest is moving forward. Exhaling, feeling here how you can support the lift of the upper body, controlling the lower abdomen, space and length through the low back. Drawing the chest up, shoulders back, back of the neck long. And on an exhalation, coming all the way back down. Again, forehead can rest on the floor. And practice once more. Follow the natural rhythm of your breath. So finding with this posture that you start with the exhalation, creating that grounding through the feet, the legs pressing down. So again, as we did in the standing postures, the legs giving the stability so we can have that movement in the upper body. As you find that lift through the chest as you inhale, exhaling that you're melting down a little, settling. Inhale, creating space, length, openness. Exhale allows a little softness. In the last inhalation, lengthening upwards through the crown of the head, keeping space at the back of your neck. And exhale all the way back down again. Resting the forehead onto the floor. Bring the hands either side of your chest, tuck under your toes, press through your hands to come back to sit on your heels. So we're going to, from here, practice movement from Adho Mukha Svanasana to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Again, I've a few different ways that we're going to do this. So there are 3 different ways that I'm going to show you. As we're practicing, you can stay with either option 1 or 2, or if there's strength and if you feel strong enough to move on to option 3, then you can do that. So they're progressive in the ways that we'll do them, but we'll all do options 1 and 2 as well, and then you have the option of not moving on to 3 if you don't wish. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Okay, so we'll move through those. So you start sitting at the back of your, from this hip crease, finding the front hips moving back, walking your hands forward and really stabilizing your hands here. So we need to have the hands really, really firm. So feeling that you're connecting the base of the knuckles down with the floor, the pads of the hands, really spreading space at the center of the palms of the hands. Coming onto your knees, and have your feet hip distance apart, tucking under your toes. Press through the hands to lift the hips, shoulders stay, or the armpits staying lifted, sending the hips high, and then lengthening your heels away from the sit bones, broaden across the base of the toes. So if you're finding that rooting through the feet, through the legs, particularly across the base of the toes, because that's going to help maintain and control the weight of the legs as we move into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So taking a few breaths here in Adho Mukha first, and then bending your knees down to the floor. But don't lose the connection between your toes here. So the toes still stay connected. So with knees on the floor then, hands still really firm. Beginning to move and do this with the breath, feeling, remembering, having that memory in your body now, the expansion of the breath through the chest. So as you draw the chest and that side armpit area forward between your upper arms, shoulders stay away from the ears so you can open across the chest, looking forwards, and the toes are still tucked under. You send the weight into the heels even as they're lifted, and that action here helping to lift the knees from the floor. Inner thighs lifting, legs firm. And then you can bend your knees, send the sit bones back and up. Inner thighs moving back. That's our option one. And you can stay with that, particularly if you have any particular tightness through your lower back, not having that upper body strength. Breathe in here. So for the next option, we're bending the knees, but they don't come to the floor. So you bend the knees, so it's helping to keep that space through the lower back, through the back of the pelvis. The weight is slowly moving forward here. Draw the chest forward between the arms. Draw shoulders down. Press through your hands to create that lift and space in the chest. Straightening the legs by sending the heels away. Breathing. Press through your hands. It's helping to keep that lift. Inner thighs lifting. Then you can bend the knees. You can send the hips high. Coming back into Adho Mukha Svanasana again. Breathe. We can have a little rest with the knees on the floor first so that you can find that stability through your hands for the final variation here. And then re-establishing the hands and their firm connection with the floor. Tucking under the toes once more. Press through the hands, lifting into Adho Mukha Svanasana. You have the option of staying with either of the previous ones that we've done. Otherwise, here, keep the base of the toes firm. Almost as if there's a little resistance weights on your heels here, so that as your shoulders move forward, chest is moving forward here, legs stay straight, but the legs are active. The inner heels moving back, inner thighs are lifting. Press through the hands to open and lift across the chest, looking forward, and breathe. A space here through the side rib cage, side chest, and then the lift comes from a pressing that energy down through the hands, the hips lift back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe in here. Observing the energy, noticing how you feel here. And then bending your knees back to the floor. You can come to sit back on your heels, releasing the hands so you can rest the hands with the palms facing up. Observing, feeling that energy, that prana, your breath. You can have a look in this direction. We're going to practice Kapotasana. I'm going to show you it with a prop and without a prop. Bring the prop close so that I have it. Show it with first. I'm going to show you without. Okay, so the purpose of the prop is if your hip was dropping on that side, you can support with a block so that you're not ending up in a position where the spine is twisted. Here we've been practicing quite a lot of back bends. This position is really nice for helping to bring the spine back into a neutral position. So we're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana first. Have your block close by, you might need it. So hands spreading, feet hip distance apart, press through the hands and feet, lifting your hips high. Keeping that length through the spine, so really press through the hands, finding that front hip crease, moving back, sit bones lifting, finding that space and length through both sides of the spine. Create a memory of that now in your body. And lift your right foot from the floor and bending your knee. So you're aiming your right foot behind your left wrist and place the outer edge of the foot on the floor before you lower your knee. Then your knee has freedom. The foot is harder to move than the knee. So get the foot down first and then the knee can find its angle. Today we're not going to worry too much about having the front shin parallel, depending, we haven't done a massive amount of hip opening work, so don't worry if the knee is forward of the foot instead of being parallel. So just finding a position where you have the outer edge of your foot pressing down onto the floor, foot is behind the wrist, and then the other knee is either in line or it may be further forward depending on what your hip opening is like today. So the options here, you might find already this is quite a stretch on the hip flexors. If that's the case, that's okay. But otherwise, tucking under your left toes and see can you walk that left foot back, keeping the front hips facing in the same direction. So don't let that left hip lift in order to get the leg back. And then you can place the front of your left foot on the floor. Now, if you find here that you're falling a little bit towards the right side or the right hip is coming down, that's where the block comes in, and you can slide it in underneath the upper thigh to support there so you don't collapse onto that right side. Keep the chest open and then lowering, press your elbows to the floor. So you can find that length. And if that's already a challenge, you could lower the elbows onto blocks as well. Finding that space, that length. Breathe in here. And then you can see if it's appropriate. You may be happy to stay there. If it's appropriate, you can place one fist on top of the other, one hand on top of the other. See if the chest will begin to lower, keeping that space even on left and right sides of the body. Breathing into what you're feeling here, observing. And then depending on what's accessible in your body this morning, you may want to stay there, or you can reach the arms forward and letting your head rest on the floor. Noticing if that is a step too far right now, you can come back to one of the previous options. But connecting with your breath, observing how you feel here, observing can you keep that space and evenness through the hips, that length coming through both sides of the back. Then you can walk your hands back in until they're underneath the shoulders. Now, if you've walked your left foot back, you're going to need to walk it in a little bit, otherwise it'll be too wide when we come back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So walking the foot in, press through the hands to create lightness through the chest. You can lift your right knee from the floor, step your right foot back, finding that space and that length through both sides, observing how it feels. And bending your left knee, bringing the foot to the floor, so outer edge of the foot to the floor. And then depending if you can have the knee in line with the foot, placing it there. Otherwise it's okay if you find the foot hasn't come as far forward and the knee is slightly forward of it. Shoulders away from the ears. You can tuck under the right toes, walking that right leg back. If here you find that keeping that stability through the pelvis is not working right now, what you can do is use the prop to help support. So it just goes under the upper thigh to help you maintain that stability through the pelvis. Keeping the space and length, so the front hips facing in the same direction, not letting that right hip lift. You can come onto elbows and forearms, keeping the space and length through both sides of the spine. If this is comfortable, you feel you can come a little lower, you can bring either one fist on top of the other, one hand on top of the other, letting the forehead rest onto your hands. And seeing how it feels for you. You may want to create a little bit more space through the front rib cage. The hands can reach forward, forehead lowering to the floor. Breathing, observing in your body now this space through the back body, observing sensations, observing if the energy quality is beginning to change. You can bring the hands back in underneath your shoulders. If you've walked the right foot back, you need to walk it in a little. Press down into the base of the right toes. Press through your hands to lift the chest, lifting the left knee. Step the left foot back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe. And we'll come to Balasana. So you can have knees together if you prefer, or need a little bit of space between the knees, that is okay. Fronts of the feet to the floor. You can either have one fist on top of the other to rest your head onto, or if the forehead or the head finds the floor, the arms can release either side of the body, palms facing up. And observe here your breath, where you feel the breath now. and bringing your hands alongside your face, pressing through your hands to bring yourself to a more upright position. We're going to come back to sit. So if you want to have a prop again to sit on, we're going to practice Nadi Shodhana. So if anybody feels they need to clear their nose, please do that. I think most of you will be familiar, not all of you will be quite familiar with this practice. But if we're going to, before we come into the formal practice, we're going to take a little time to connect and settle with our own breath first. Certainly every time I practice breathing practices or breath awareness, I find that it's really helpful to really connect with where your starting point is, because as I'm sure you've noticed, it's not always in the same place, the same quality, the same energy. Noticing how you feel, how your breath is, depending how the clarity or the dominance of your nostrils for those of you who connect with that. So taking a little bit of time, and then I'll come to clarifying the mudra afterwards. So you can come to sit in either Siddhasana again or Sukhasana, Vajrasana if you prefer. You can allow your hands to rest lightly on your knees, shoulders relax. If you find your alignment of the space and length through the spine, softening your gaze or allowing your eyes to close as you bring your awareness back to your breath. Check in here that you can allow your tongue to soften. It's away from the roof of the mouth, and softening the tongue, you may even need to swallow to help do that. It will help to bring a little bit more space and openness through the area of your throat. Observing your natural inhalation and exhalation. Observing the quality of your breath now. Observing the energy that you feel now. So without disturbing yourself too much, and I'll just come a little closer so I can show you. So the process of Nadi Shodhana is its alternate nostril breathing. We're breathing in through the left nostril, breathing out through the right nostril, breathing in through the right nostril and out through the left. And we control the flow of the breath gently with a very light touch from the finger, the pads of the fingers, and the hand is in Vishnu mudra. So you have the index finger and middle finger coming to the fleshy part of the thumb. Here, thumb and ring finger, little finger, they curl. And as they do that, they are gently finding this part of the nose here below the bony part. And it's a very light touch. So not a big movement, just a very light alternating the control so that you can breathe alternately through the nostrils. If you wear glasses, you're going to need to take them off to control this. So in your seated position, and you can use either hand. I'm using my right hand, that's what I find more comfortable. Sometimes people find that their dominant hand can tire, particularly if you've done a lot already, but it's morning, so maybe it's not going to be so tired. We're going to Make sure that you keep the alignment. Sometimes what can happen here is the head can go off to the side or the hand can collapse in. So we need to maintain that uprightness, maintaining the central line of your head in line with the central line of the spine. And that's keeping the breath passages open here as well. If you start to go to the compression, so the practice won't have the same effect. As you take the mudra, I'm going to allow you to, to find your own rhythm. So the pattern doesn't change. The practice always begins with an inhalation through the left nostril and exhalation through the right. Inhale through the right and exhale to the left. That doesn't change. It always starts and ends on the left nostril. But because our breath rhythms can be so varied, I want you to really connect with the rhythm that is comfortable with you. If you lose where you are with that practice, please come back to your natural breath and begin again. Okay, so your other hand can remain relaxed. You're placing the knuckle of the index finger just between the eyebrows, but just slightly towards the top of the eyebrows. It kind of depends on the length of the face as well, but just so that the fingers reach towards that fleshy part just below the bony part of the nose. Starting with an exhalation and then with the inhalation through your left nostril. We'll exhale through the right. When it is time for the inhalation to come in again, it comes through the right nostril and exhaling through your left. So as you find and continue with this practice of Nadi Shodhana, always paying close attention with the breath practices, that you keep your awareness soft. That you're inviting the breath to move in this way rather than having a tight hold of it. So you're encouraging the breath to join you on this exploration, this journey. And with Nadi Shodhana, continue with your practice. But because it's a practice with alternating the breath in this way and controlling with the main nadis, Ida and Pingala, and trying to create some balance through the breath, through the practice in this pranayama practice. So we have really connected with awakening and enlivening the prana in the body. This practice helps to reestablish some balance. Next time that you exhale through your left nostril, you can release the mudra, releasing your hands back to rest onto your knees or thighs. And you allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. No expectation as to whether that will be the same or different than before the practice. Take time to feel the energy, quality, sensations in your body. And then gently lowering your chin so that as you open your eyes, you can, without disturbing your energy too much, the gaze is down, and you can unfold your legs. We're going to move into time of shavasana, of relaxation now. As you unfold your legs, I know we practice quite a lot of back strengthening, back bends and openers today. If you feel that your back needs to release, and I would suggest that everybody would do this first before even moving into full shavasana. Do rest with your knees bent initially. You may stay like that for your relaxation practice if you wish, or coming into shavasana. So taking heed of the temperature where you are, if you need additional clothing, blankets, you have an eye bag and wish to use one, find comfort and warmth in this time of relaxation. So settling initially with your feet on the floor, knees bent. That can help your back to release. If you do wear glasses, take them off so you can allow your face and the muscles around your face to soften and release a little bit more easily. As you settle your body to the floor, observing sensations, noticing if there are parts of your body drawing your attention more than others right now. Noticing, can the muscles through the back settle? Can the back of your pelvis settle? If you feel you need to keep your knees bent, then doing that. Otherwise, allowing your legs to straighten, having a little space between the heels so that your toes can fall away from each other, and the backs of the legs to begin to broaden towards the floor beneath you. Having your arms alongside your body, a little away from the body, palms of the hands facing up, and allowing the shoulders to release a little more. And checking that your head, you feel the weight of the head settling into the center of the back of your head. Eyes softly closed and still. And once more, allowing the tongue to release away from the roof of your mouth. With those 2 points of settling and softening the eyes and your tongue can help to disengage your active thinking mind. Settling the body to the support, the floor beneath you, the earth beneath you. But bring your awareness to your feet. Feeling a sensation of warmth and softness beginning to spread across your toes, the big toes, second, third, fourth, and fifth toes. The warmth and softness spreading its way across the soles of your feet, across the tops of the feet, through the insteps, heels, and ankles. It spreads up through the lower legs, through shins and calf muscles spread and soften. Space in your knees. That warmth and softness spreading through all of the thighs, allowing the muscles to soften and release. High bones settling down. space and softness through the pelvis, the pelvic floor, front of the pelvis, softening across the buttocks. Warmth and softness through the abdomen. It makes its way up through the diaphragm, front of the chest, across the collarbones. Softness, warmth, gravity, helping to release the muscles through the lower back, mid-back, and upper back. Spreading softness into the shoulders and armpits, through the upper arms, elbows and lower arms, space in the wrists, palms of the hands releasing towards the backs of the hands. The softness and warmth spreads out into the thumbs, index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers and little fingers. All of your hands and arms soften. Softness spreading up through your throat, neck, through your chin and jaw, your mouth, space inside the mouth. Softness in your tongue and lip, your cheeks, eyes releasing into the eye sockets, eyelids closed like silk over your eyes, space between your eyebrows, and across the forehead, through both sides of the head, the back of the head, and the crown of your head. Your whole body softening, settling to the support of the earth beneath you. Bringing the thoughts in the front mind release towards the back of the head. The whole weight of your head supported and releasing to the earth beneath you. Bringing your attention, your awareness back to your breath. No need to change anything, connecting with your breath. You bring your awareness then to the physical realm, the physical body. No need to move or change yet, but connecting with and feeling the rhythm, the energy within your body, that prana within your body. And feeling that the rhythm, the energy of the universe is here within you. Awareness now coming back to your body within your space, within your room, to the touch of the clothing on your body, the connection of the body with the floor beneath you, beginning to create small movements at first, taking your time, wiggling your fingers, your toes, and gently allow your head to begin to move from side to side. And allowing then a bigger movement, stretching the hands down towards the feet or reaching your arms overhead, enjoying the stretch, yawn. Bend your knees if they're not already bent, and either allowing a gentle twist from side to side or hugging your knees in towards your chest, easing from side to side. You can return your feet to the floor, bring your hands together and rubbing the hands together to create heat in your hands. And then cupping your hands over your eyes so that you can open your eyes into the warmth and darkness of the hands, then gently separating your fingers, allowing light back through. You can massage around the temples, over the face, through your hair to bring awareness back. Rolling over onto the right side, pausing there for a few breaths, and when you feel ready, you can return to sit. When you sit, bringing the hands to Anjali Mudra. As you inhale, lifting the chest. As you exhale, lowering your head, meeting yourself with gratitude, with awareness, this prana, this energy within. Om Shanti. Thank you all so much for participating and joining, and I hope you enjoy many more of the practices that the EUY and these other wonderful teachers from all around Europe are offering. So from the very west coast of Ireland, wishing you all a very, very lovely day. If anybody has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or put something in the chat.